Since I've tried to stream, it's been 7 days. If you even know what I mean, I've got 2 green lights, data sending. That'll turn green eventually. There. Oh, Ripley. I'm too close to the mic. Don't you dare get this close. Audio's bound to be peaking. In headphones you would be freaking to this too loud sound. What did we forget? There's my water right there. Ah, there's something I bet. I think the camera is all on. Let me switch to the remote so I can change scenes. Don't you dare change those scenes. Maybe it's still too far away. How's that right now? Meow, 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 meow. All right. Mouse. Tablet pen. Did not check to see if the tablet was working when I restarted. Do that right now. No. Past the point of no return. Okay. Seems to be working. Do. And there's a Pat Prue saying, hello, everyone. Don't you dare not say hello. While Pat sits on his my pillow, feeling so comfy with Space Goonie. Hello from her as well. Watching from hell, 'cause she's a demon, but one that's good. Don't you dare, no you should. What? Okay, anyway, Ripley, seriously. Hey, there you are, sweetest angel. My voice is switching to Milo for some reason, and let's just see what happens there, I guess. Meow, 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 meow. Yeah, no. Oh, I'm way over here. Let me just lean into frame. That'll work. Yeah, no, the thing is, Ripley, the way you're built now is that, like, your body is this one piece being moved by a bone instead of a piece that I can just jam a hat onto. So that's like, ugh, that's like actually doing all of my day job in the few minutes before the stream, and I didn't think that through. So that's the way that goes. And what about my Christmas hat? How come I don't have a festive holiday chapeau? That used to be my whole deal. With like, remember you'd put mask on me and a little hat, and everyone was like, "Oh, look at his little hat! What an adorable little hat!" And then I'm like, "Faith Goody subscribed. Didn't she subscribe last week? But that's all cool. Subscribe all the time." I don't know what that means. Thanks for the Christmas face, Space Goonie. Thanks for the Christmas space. Anyway. Oh, sorry. I've been talking this whole time. You didn't switch back over to the other camera. Yeah. Sometimes things happen on the screen and you forget who's who. But anyway, if anyone is new, floating around, don't forget to hit the subscribe or follow button. Follows are free, and they're good as well. I was going to use the word subscribe. YouTube subscriptions are also free and very much appreciated to anyone new to the stream. My name is Curtis, and this is Milo. You're a little low in frame, but that's fine. Maybe I can get some sort of heightened chair to fit in, and then everyone could see my handsome face while I'm over here drinking out of my unacceptable mug that is available in one of the stores, but not in the other ones. But there is some unacceptable merchandise in the MrCurtoons store. That is, of course, societyfix.com/MrCurtoons. Thanks. You're good at advertising. I thought I'll just do one camera today because so many things, so many things. Um, I got a few Christmas things here. The tree that I used as a Christmas tree one year, it's actually like a tree that you're supposed to put outside, like on your step or something. And there's some little battery lights in there, and I replaced that with a Christmas tree. Christmas tree. Um, Actually, I believe I turned the Christmas lights on in the other room, and now they're off, and I don't know why. Did I turn them on? Pretty sure I turned them on. I'm gonna go into the other room for 2 seconds and see what happened. What happened there? Where's the there's a little interstitial thing. Let's do the. Do we go with be right back? Be right back is okay. Bumper screen. Oh, there we go. That's got some music that's too loud. Oh, that music doesn't loop. Music doesn't loop at all. Hey. Yeah. Making music loop is a pain. It takes work. It takes time. All right. Pillow on this side. Lean over this way. There we go. This is basically how I normally sit when I'm watching computer. It's been a week. It's been quite a week since I've streamed with thee. 1 week that you wouldn't believe. Every day you think things will be normal, but then they're not, and they're quite abnormal. I've got no rhymes. Anyway, I think today we're just gonna finish the comic we were working on last week, because I never really got around to finishing it. Pouring a little bit of extra effort into my day job. Not necessarily working crazy late hours, but just at the end of it, I'm just like, oh, that was a lot. That was a lot of things that I just tried to cram in because it is getting closer to the holidays, and there's still some people that need Santa hats and snowmen and Christmas lights added to their stream art so they can stream festively before the festivities are over. So I'm trying my best to get all that stuff to those guys as soon and as quickly as possible. Yesterday I somehow did like more work than I've ever done. Maybe I just kind of geared down a bit and simplified things instead of getting more complicated. Getting as complicated as I usually do. Try and get everybody their stuff. And yeah, since I change everything like every 2 to 3 months completely, I don't really have a lot of last year's festive things. But yeah, I was fully like, oh, I'll just throw a hat on Milo, and no big deal. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's all built with pieces where I can just slap a hat on him, or I could slap something on, but his actual body, I decided like, ooh, I'm gonna experiment with bones in Adobe Animate. And for at least a good 2 weeks, I was like, I'm gonna use these. Like these are actually kind of working. And I'm sorry, Adobe. If you want to throw a pile of money at me, I'll say a bunch of real nice things. Adobe is amazing. Like the army of software that they've built to make things is amazing. It's an unstoppable force of things, and wow, amazing. But at a certain point, some of those things just don't work. Like trying to get a vector image out of Instagram, out of Illustrator to bring over to Animate, which is another vector program, both of which are made by Adobe, and I'm just like, why can't I get these to cooperate? Why in a million years will these not cooperate? Why do none of these things really actually work together? except occasionally if you've got a bitmap JPEG image in Animate, you can just be like, hey, let me just jump over to Photoshop and edit that, and you'd be like, yeah, sure, hit save, and then there you go. You just saved over that file, and now it's in here. Like, wow, that was kind of convenient. But the bones, they just 1,000 years ago, when I don't even know, Flash 5 was like, wouldn't you like to put some bones in your characters and then just bend some things, like how 3D works? And people were like, yeah, that's all we've ever wanted. Like, all right, go for it. And then it just didn't do anything. It never really worked. It was never usable unless you were using like a solid silhouette, and even then, stuff just bent weird. And even now, it's still the same deal. But for like a week, I was like, yeah, I just want to take this one little object and I just want to wiggle it a little. Just a little bit. Just let me wiggle it just a little bit. And I don't know that song, but I know it's in there. Hey, Amanda. Um, and yeah, oh my god, it's just so much faster. And in my head, I was just like, well, since it worked on these work projects, why not try it with a Milo? I would like him to just kind of like wiggle a little more, and instead of. But now I'm in this quandary where it's like this thing is now a weird boned object that I can't add stuff to anymore. And if you try to do anything, it just breaks and you'll never use it again. So if and when I do something new with the Milo character, I need to just basically start him over. Actually, not really. I just need to start the torso part over. This part here. Um, in theory, I could have attached a hat to his eyes and put it up here. Don't look at me like that. And that probably would have worked. But yeah, him and Ripley are built the same way. And it was just wasn't happening. Hey, bro, I'm quite simple. Why don't you just add a hat to my head, dude? I mean, I'm awesome and festive at all times. I'm spiritual, and did I mention surfing at any point in time? Ted, the reason I didn't throw a hat on Ted, I did start to put a hat on Ted. And I still have yet to take time to learn any After Effects. And the more I watch people do effectsy type stuff, I'm like, oh, one of these days or weeks, I'm gonna have to sit down and learn how to do some After Effects with some tracking. But that's the thing I was thinking of. Pat was like, oh, am I gonna have to do some like $9,000 effects work here to just put a hat on his head when normally it would take me like 9 minutes? Ugh. And like I said, if I had taken a little bit of time, I would have. I did actually start to add a hat to Ted, but then I thought, oh, with the other camera on, you can see that Ted's a photo. Ted's really on my wall, and then the animated Ted is not. So they won't match up. But now I'm like, oh, too lazy to do two cameras today. So why not? Batman, on the other hand, I definitely could have easily thrown a hat on him, and I did not. And I did not. Well, that's just a list of laziness. That's what I hear. Hey, here's all the things I didn't do this week. I'd like to hope that your list of things you did do is a little bit longer, or is that even shorter? Is that, oh, hey, I bought a new blanket, so I spent the last 7 days underneath that blanket thinking about TV shows that I'd like to watch? No, I'm not that crazy. I'm not that crazy. I'm a little bit crazy. I'm a little bit crazy. I'm pretty sure you're the craziest. You're a crazy one, Mr. Critch. Your ideas cannot be compared. If you were made of ice cream and I was made of hair, what were we talking about? Something about Christmas. Oh, this is Christmas. And what have you done? Tell me your list. Was it a list of fun? All right, calm down. Calm down, Batman. Live on location. But yeah, I'm definitely not super familiar with After Effects. I do all of my effects. Everything I've done is either in Adobe Animate / Flash for all of the years of my life, or Final Cutting Pro. And that's been Tech Talk. We usually do that on the other camera with Pat, but we're cool. We're cloacaing things over here. We're doing it all through the one camera orifice. That was the grossest way to talk about that, but if you don't know what a cloaca is, one, apparently my mouth doesn't have the ability to say it without thinking about it. Two, it's gross. So anyway, in the week of weirdness, sometimes, oh man, sometimes I really do just want to go to. I'm just like, I want to go over to this camera now, just to escape, as if it's like, it's gotten too heavy over here. But over here, it's a little respite when it's like I actually do kind of feel like I'm just gonna talk to you guys. Can listen in, but I'm really just having a conversation with Pat and the camera over here. And now I'm just like, oh, everybody's listening the whole time. I need a moment with my other camera, and so this was a terrible mistake. It's super easy to set up. I can see it. It is right there. It's just not plugged in. Oh man. But it's been a weird week. I'll let's start with the end and go backwards, cuz the later stuff is sillier. And during that, I'll think of, the funny things that were on the TV that were funny. And hey, what about this thing? Like, I spent a good chunk of the last few days, well, a weird week since last Tuesday. The last 7 days, even the last 14 days have been weird. But the last few days, I've literally just been kind of hunkered down when haven't been working on the couch, watching YouTubes, and I've watched some other just random movies and whatever. But one of the things that I ended up watching was this short little, maybe 20-minute long, I keep calling them documentaries, but a little dissertation on NECA action figures, because the image on the thumbnail might as well have been a butt, which is a reference to college humor. That is hilarious. If you don't get it, that's too bad. But the thumbnail was just like, oh yeah, this might answer all of the questions that I have in the world in relating to the action figures that I covet, that I want to have, and the ones that I actually do in fact have. Excuse me. But this was like, I don't know, earlier today, last night, I watched this, and oh, don't close, save. So I can't remember what the title was, but it was something along the lines of like, what's the deal with NECA toys? Now, before we even get going, before you get going, can I ask a quick question? I'm pretty sure I'm about to say the thing that you're gonna ask. So the thing about NECA toys and what they are. No, but wait. What's the thing about the NECA toy? What's a NECA toy? Are you talking about Mecha NECA toy? The guy from He-Man, whose neck mechanically extends and disextends like an ET, but more mechanically. That rhymed real good, I think, and especially. No, not even close. NECA toys are the Ninja Turtle action figures I've been talking about for the long time. NECA is the company. I don't even know how it's spelled. NECA, possibly two C's, but a few stuff down. But these guys, that are like exquisitely painted and whatnot, crazily detailed. But more importantly, like the reason I really love them, and I always talk about stop motioning with them, they have like all the joints. Like he's got double knee joints so that he can not only bend, but then, I can do a full ninja bend. And then he bends at the ankles. And then sometimes they have other rotation points. And they bend at the torso. And the head moves real crazy. And they got all the joints for the arms, sometimes with the double elbow as well. And that's great. That's just great. That's the greatest thing in the world. And hey, what do we got? See those hands? These hands. if I reach down here, in theory, should be able to grab almost. That was a tiny coat rack holding Jason Voorhees' other jacket. Yeah, everything's fine. Um, but other hands. See, got a nice little fist, and then you pop those out, and they have these little pegs, and each hand has a hinge on it, so each of the wrists still turn from this tiny little peg. So, every time I do get one of these and I get real excited and I start to animate it, then I realize I can't animate these too much because I'm definitely going to break these. Like, I'm definitely going to break these. Why does it seem like I'm always going to definitely break these? These are like $40 toys, $30 toys. Sometimes, like I said, I think the Raphael that I got was like, oh, I'm going to break down and get that. And I think with the shipping and everything was like almost a $60 thing. That I got myself, I want to say last Christmas, the Christmas before. Then they started showing up in stores again. So, Raphael is a good example where I'm like, I'm going to animate this all the time. But same deal where I'm just like, maybe I'll animate them once, and then I just got to put them back down because they're going to break. I'm pretty sure they're going to break. So I ended up watching this little video where I'm like, oh, this is probably going to tell me what I exactly already know, but just never really thought hard enough about. So I throw on this little YouTube guy talking about NECA toys. And he's like an experienced toy fixer, restorer, and such and such. So right out of the gate, he was like, I forget which figure he had. I think it was a Predator from Predator. So he had a few of these Predator figures that, again, they're all the articulation you could ever want, extra hands, all kinds of gear, and he goes to open out of the box, and he was like, first thing you need to know about NECA toys, this is what all the stuff that you need to open a NECA toy. Like, what? What are we talking about? Shouldn't I just open it up and it cost all the money in the world so it's just amazing? And then that's it, that's all I need to know. But what the guy in the YouTube said was like, the first thing you want to do with any of these figures before you move any of the joints is heat it up. Is like literally take a heat gun or like a hair dryer, heat up all the joints because they're just too stiff. The plastic is too not good enough for what the thing is. And then you also, and he had a bunch of stuff, a saw, glue, and he was like, and then you just got to be prepared to put it back together. And I'm like, yep, also true. I've glued right out of the box these things back together a few times, like different parts here and there. And I'm just like, this is insane, but I won't admit to myself that something this nice could also be this garbage at the same time. But also thinking along the lines of, well, this is kind of, a showpiece type of toy. It definitely isn't meant to be played with the way that I intend on animating it and moving it as much as it is. It's probably meant to be put it in a pose once, put it in one of those action figure holders, and that's it. It stays in that pose. And according to this video, because this guy, other people, just the industry in general, has come down on NECA saying, hey guys, no, seriously, what's the deal? Half the time, it's already broken in the box. Like, we can't even get it out of the box yet? And NECA's like, yeah, it's not meant to be played with. Like, no, I didn't play with it yet. He's like, no, anything you do with these action figures constitutes playing with them. Putting them in the pose as advertised on the box, that's playing with it, and it's going to break. We promise it's going to break. So this guy pulled a Predator out, and he's like, check out these joints. He's like, this is even after heating it, and then like the whole like shoulder joint like just disconnected, broke off, needed to be glued back together right away. And it's just like, this is 40 seconds in to this guy on pulling this thing out, and he's like, this is not out of the ordinary. And it turns out NECA is definitely some sort of evil corporation, because it's all about just that. It's like, no, we've basically gone to court over it. It's just, this is the deal. We're not selling toys. We're selling these collector's pieces, and you're just really not meant to ever touch them, even though it is like, here's a pile of extra hands. Don't you dare take them, because I've had that. Like, I've broken off so many of those wrists, and then had to glue things back together. One of my old alien toy that I used in that stop motion video. The reason it's as Frankenstein as it is because I did try to animate and do stuff with it, and it just kept breaking apart more and more and more every time I did anything. And what I was surprised by was just like, maybe I'm just always getting bad ones, but it's basically 1 in 3 makes it to its destination without being broken in some way. And they are fully aware that it's just like, the easy fix is make it with better plastic. And again, that's a weird thing in this day and age as well, to just be like, hey, could we start taking all that straw plastic we're not using and put it towards these action figures? And of course, watching 2 other weird videos or documentaries about the environment. I say videos or documentaries. What I actually just watched was an old episode of 8 out of 10 Cats, where they were talking about Greta Thunberg. That's not how you say her last name, but close enough. You know who I'm talking about. And this little girl pleading for all of the adults to not, yeah, that's right, destroy the world for her. And I'm over here like, oh, I do wish these action figures were made of better plastic, but you know what? I don't need action figures. This is also yet another thing that's going to end up in a landfill someday. It will be nice if it wasn't as disposable as it is right out of the gate. But it does basically come down to, they put all this quality into painting them, into designing them, into just amazing builds, but the actual material is just frail, and it's just begging to break all the time. And yeah, the company's standpoint is just, that's on you, dog. That's on you. Everyone's aware of what we make, so take it or leave it. Kind of like, I think this is a bad analogy. I'm gonna say it anyway. Kind of like, if you take some eggs home, and then you're just like, oh my god, like 2 of these eggs broke, and then you went back to the store like, I broke 2 eggs on the way home, in my Jeep while I drove over some crazy rocks or whatever. And of course they're gonna be like, yeah, they're eggs. You actually definitely have to be kind of careful with your eggs to get your eggs home. But, we are all, I think, on the same page with how careful you have to be with eggs. But this, like, literally has action in the word. I'm gonna, you know what? Foot soldier. I'm just looking to see if it has the word. It does have the word real toys on it, but real spelled like a movie. So true, Pat. So true. Playing with my real life dinosaurs. It's ages 14 and up, small parts, not for children under 3, choking hazard. That's about the movie, basically. Sculptor, fabrication, paint, photography, package design. It doesn't actually say an action figure anywhere on here. But I mean, come on. Got multiple pictures of it in multiple poses. But yeah, so in the end it is like, alright, you know what? I have enough of those now. I'm gonna let my I call it a need, but my quest for the Casey Jones. I'm just gonna let that go. I'm just gonna be happy with the figure. I already have more than enough nonsense toys. Um, it's just not necessary. It's just not necessary. But then just seeing that, it is just like, oh, I don't want to give this company any more money. Like it sucks because there is like definitely some amazing artists that are making these things come into existence. So the thing that guy in the video brought up was, well, why don't, if you don't want them to be posed and they're not meant, then it's so much easier to have your sculptor sculpt out the figure and then press out some statues instead. But people don't buy statues like they buy toys. It's just a fact because they want to move them and pose them. So they don't do that. It's not profitable. And then the other thing is, well, if it's going to be as frail as a build-a-figure model kit, then why not just sell it as a build-a-figure model kit, and then if and when it does break, it really is on the person putting it together or building it. And of course, the same reason. No, but we want some money. No, but we want to get some money, so this way everyone will buy it because they actually want action figures. Nobody wants to build an action figure that's going to be broken anyway. And what was great about that video, my favorite part about that video, um, I never really rewatched this movie. I maybe 10 years ago was like watched part of it and was like, whoa, this movie is as crazy as I remember it. I remember being terrified as a kid, but wanting to see, excuse me, because there were some magical elements. It was amazing. A story of Christmas that kind of made it seem real. But I think it was John Lithgow and Dudley Moore as an elf, and then somebody else as Santa Claus who was probably famous. But some homeless kid, because, you know, back in the 80s and 90s, every Christmas story was about a homeless kid. So, yeah, Santa Claus the movie, that's it. And it was like I looked forward as a little kid to seeing this movie, but it terrified me because when John Lithgow is just like he's so evil and he's lit in such a dark way, and there's just a point when he's just like, "We'll have Christmas too," and he makes the sequel to Christmas with these weird icicle candies or whatever. Lots of weird stuff in it. But mostly it was so sad. It was so sad of just this poor homeless kid. I think he might have befriended a little a girl. Yes, a non-homeless girl who might have been Jodie Foster. No, it couldn't have been Jodie Foster. But the main, moral of the whole thing is Christmas time. We have one special day, and it's special because Santa Claus takes the time, and the elves take the time to put quality and specialness and love into each and every toy. They're not just slapped together in a factory by robots. Each one is handcrafted by a magical elf who loves you. And Christmas 2, John Lithgow was just like, let the machine crank out whatever, and then all the kids are like, yay, with their weird looking wagons, because everybody wanted a wagon. Even I wanted a wagon at some point. Why? I don't know. Pretty much only because I saw it on TV. Like, anything, you can accomplish anything if you have a wagon. No adventure is complete without a wagon. If I'm getting chased by FBI guys that are trying to get my alien that I found, I'm going to need a wagon, when I'm at the top of a hill and risk life and limb going down the hill, and hopefully the alien has the powers to steer and or make me fly, and we escape the FBI guys trying to, murder us. So in that video, while he was talking about the shoddiness and how there's like, oh, there's these toys that are like amazing quality, and then there's these guys that are just pumping out what is almost amazing quality, and whatever, cutting in shots of John Lithgow's Christmas 2 from Santa Claus the movie, which even I remember Santa Claus himself also being kind of scary in them. Like everybody in the movie is a little scary. Dudley Moore, a little bit scary, or at least off-putting to a child. I'm gonna say, or a woman in that era that had to, be around him. Better believe I'm not redrawing no monolith over here. So, in amongst the viewing of that weird little documentary, the other things that I watched were just like this channel called I Hate Everything, which I definitely watched before, but I just kind of went on a roll of like, oh wow, there's a lot of incredibly terrible movies out there that I really can't understand what people's vision was going to be, or what they thought the movie was going to become once they started filming these things. And each and every one of them is just amazing for so many reasons. Either the fact that you just turn the camera on and you're just filming these people. They don't know what to do, and you just kind of expect a movie to happen. But there's just several different shark movies that I kind of got a run on. But one was like The Shark Exorcist, which made so little sense. They kept filming at just like this little lake area where just a shark wouldn't be. They'd go like knee deep in the water and just kind of frolic around like, we don't want to do this, it's too cold, and you're not paying us enough. And then they'd pretend to be attacked by a shark. Cut to a little stock footage of a shark, and then they would be dead. And people would have virtually no reaction. But in this one, it had the added part of like, this priest was, I guess, an exorcist or a demon. I can't even remember now. It was really weird. And at a certain point, like the shark barely seemed to have. It just didn't make any sense. And clearly, like, you get in a room with your friends and you just start saying ideas and just like, oh, could you imagine this? It was like, yeah, one or two of these separate ideas as little skits, separated by like a week, on like a Saturday Night Live or just on your YouTube channel. Like, yeah, that will be fine. But when you put them all together, this doesn't make any sense, and it seems like somebody here was definitely just trying to take advantage of at least one or all of the women that have been hired to work on this movie. And others are clearly, oh, this guy thinks he's making an epic action movie because he got his hands on some people that are like, oh, these are tough guys with like muscles and maybe some martial arts skills. But if you can't film any of that right, you might as well just be filming a couple of drunk teens wrestling in a backyard. And that's what most of them look like. The more recent one that I watched that kind of wiped out the Shark Exorcist from my brain was the Jurassic Shark, which is genius. It's a genius name, especially if you can afford to make a movie that actually is a somehow Jurassic Parky, Jurassic Shark story. Then, yeah, I'll drive you to the bank because you've made all the money. Like it works. It works. It sounds great. Jurassic Shark. It sounds great. You take the logo from Jurassic Park, you make it a shark. You use the font, except make it a little wavy like it's in the water. Genius. Genius. Do you have access to like water where a Jurassic shark would be? No. Hmm. Do you have access to like some marshland and I don't know, like a factory? Yes. All right, let's do this. Oh no. So that one, it's supposed to be, well, first of all, like it shows nothing. But minute one is like scientist guy, scientist lady walking down the stairs of what is, I don't know, a high school or some factory where their dad works or an old abandoned garage. But they're just on an echoey old stairwell. The audio is terrible. And the lady is like, I'm gonna. Platysalak? Platysalak. Platysalache? Platysalache. Is that what's happening? What is happening? Avocado shakes. Uh, don't know what that means. Schadenfreude? Kalkulash? Kalkulash. Crab juice? Kalkulash. Crab juice. Um. Ah. I don't. I don't know a lot of dinosaur names anymore. Did I ever? I don't know. I've only ever known a few. I just like to draw them. Not good at learning. But in this instance, it was a megalodon. So the scientists are coming down the stairs, and the lady's just like, "You're drilling too deep. You're drilling too deep." And he's just like, "Oh, we're not drilling too deep." Like, "You are. You're drilling too deep." And then there's like an explosion sound and a camera shake. The guy is like, "Whoa, this is shaking," and the lady's like, "Oh, this is shaking." Both reacting completely differently to the shaking. Um, hey, Matarizagovia? Matarizagovia. Matarizagovia? Matarizagovia. Matarizagovia? Madrigovia. 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 Why can't you just say people's names? It's so easy. You look at the letters, you sound them out, Madrigovia, and then everybody's nice and happy and everything's fine. Don't make fun of me. Reading is hard. um, but yeah, so that's apparently how the megalodon is released. This clearly is not explained. And then you kind of go down to the park where it's not like a super nice let's go to the beach day, but people are there to go to the beach anyway. And something about like some criminals are trying to escape with a painting, and then they're just in a little boat, and the megalodon like knocks their boat over, and somebody's like, "Oh my god, something brushed against my leg." Like a megalodon brushed against your leg. You're in a lake that's like 15 feet deep at most, and this megalodon, based on what the movie has established, is, as you know, is gigantic. It's going to fill up all of this area. You're all going to be like, "Oh my god, we're sitting on top of a megalodon right now because there's no room for it to swim through here." But regardless, whoa, I got pulled under by a megalodon. Just like, how come the rest of the water isn't disturbed? How come there's no blood in the water? What are you even talking about? Why did you make this movie? And so basically, yeah, Megalodon's like, "It belongs in a museum." And those people are like, "No, I want it for myself. I gotta sell it to the Nazis." And the bad guys make it to shore, and Megalodon swims off, I guess. They're immediately over the death of the other guy, and they're just like, "Well, we gotta go get it. Somebody go get in the water and get me that painting back." Excuse me. So I believe somebody gets in the water, they die, and then some like other people show up and they're like, "Hey, we're just here to like hang out on the beach." Oh no, they show up in a boat. And again, even though you can see like civilization, they're apparently like boating out by like an island that's hard to get to, and now they're stranded on the island because the shark capsized both of their boats, and they have to join forces. And then the bad guys are like, you guys are going out there, go get in the water and get us our painting back. And they had a CG shark, and it was bad. But at several points, like the shark just kind of like just jumps up and just eats people. But like animation's hard. Look at this. It's super hard to do. So like it would open its mouth and people would basically kind of get sucked into it. Like the picture would disappear. They'd turn into a crappy piece of CG themselves, and they'd be in its mouth. But at one point, guy like does make it to shore. Like, he stops like ankle deep in the water. Like, I guess I made it. And then the shark like swims, and again, like you can see bushes growing up within the water. Like there is no depth to this. The fin that's out of the water is like 12 feet tall, and it like swims up towards them. The water doesn't move, and again, it just comes right up to the shore. It's still half buried in water, and just 10 feet of shark head are out of the water, and the guy's just like, falls into it as if he's like falling on a toilet, and then he's just eating, and then the shark goes away. Like the best shot that this guy showed anyway was that shark taking off. It was like that was almost okay. Like still you didn't have enough effects in there to make it really work, but it went by fast enough that like, yeah, if this water was deep enough, that almost would have looked like what it should have looked like for a shark to whip off under the water. But you didn't have enough room, so there's just a big giant bus of a CG shark just flopping around in what should have been ankle deep water, but it's also in plenty deep enough water. And it just keeps going like that until everyone bad dies. I think maybe one of the good people's friends die. And then at the end, bad guys have like their gun on the people, and it's just like, you're going in there. Like, no, I'm not. I'm about to shoot you. Oh my God, you're gonna shoot me. I'm gonna shoot you. Like, nothing can save you now, except in a Jurassic Park, Jurassic Shark style T-Rex shows up and saves the day scenario, which, how could that happen? You're on the land. It's not Flipper. It's not going to jump up and do some crazy thing. It's not even Orca where it's going to do it's a shark. It's just nothing related to the shark can possibly happen right now. So anyway, it shows a shot of the edge of the water. Shark jumps up out of the water, Free Willy style, eats the guy somehow. Like chomp. You don't see that. You just see the shark jump, and you hear a chomp, which is like just an eating sound effect, like a normal eating sound effect from a sound effects library. And then the shark lands back in the water. Presumably, if it was storyboarded, which it definitely wasn't, it was shark jumps out of the water, Free Willies, grabs this person, eats them, it leaving just what it cut back to was some boots with some poorly bloody stumps falling over, and then diving back into the water on the other side. Out, chomp, and then in the water. Right? But because they don't have any of those locations to work with, it was out of the water, hear a chomp noise, back into the same water, the exact same spot it went into, so chomp, flip, sploosh back in, and then the bad guy's eaten and the movie's over. And I believe right before that they were like, well, we can't, we're good guys. We can't just leave this dangerous shark out there. So then one of them just like goes into the water. They have dynamite now and is like, I'm the decoy. And then the other person throws the dynamite into the mouth of the shark. The shark explodes with whatever built-in After Effects effects are built in with After Effects for free, or that you can buy online for free. Just that standard blood spatter that you see in every single YouTube video in the history of YouTube effects, with some explosion, and then it's just gone. It's gone. Movie over. Like, we did it. We saved everyone. And then post-credit-ish scene, dudes are on a kind of a rock wharf, like just a rock embankment that goes out into the water, and they're sitting on the edge. Not even on the edge. They're sitting there drinking some beer. Possibly they have fishing rods. And then same deal. Shark just jumps over, scoops up both of them, and disappears into the water again. Like, oh, there was another one. Maybe there'll be a sequel to this atrocious mess. Um, but I have to say, why I do end up watching those, at least breakdowns of those movies, are, oh, again, like, I gotta make a crappy movie. I have decent gear to make stuff now, and, you know, I'm my idea of making a movie might not be a genius movie, but at least structurally and continuity wise, I will have planned out something that at least fits together cohesively from beginning to end. Where you're not like, and who is this guy and why? What? What's happening? From beginning to absolute end. And I just got stuck on watching those when there's plenty of real shows to watch and real things. And yeah, if anything, I gotta make more things. I always have a list. I have so many like half-written scripts for projects that are like, this is just too big. Ugh, it's just too big. I have to stop having so many side quests. But craziness wise, in the real world, all right? So that's crazy, and that's a thing that people are doing. Now, uh, uh, that's the other thing, was like not making anything. I also still feel like since all of this has began, I haven't done anything, even though if I do take a look at even just my Instagram or the YouTube streams record of these things, just like I've scaled up on these. I've remade him like twice since the thing. Hey, I'm always me, and I'm always the best version of me. You don't need to remake me, and I don't need you to validate who I am. I make me in my own image, and sometimes I make mugs with my image on them. And CTK is in her house, drinking her tea and/or coffee out of an unacceptable mug. Thanks for buying a mug, CTK. Always with the mugs, this guy. Um, so uh, the 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 math in my head, whatever, like the clock in my head, still just counts this as having been 3 weeks maximum. Like the fact that it is almost Christmas, like literally days, like a week and a half till Christmas, I'm just like extra panicked. Like just extra, just like where, what, but no, but 3 weeks ago was, but no, but then it was, no, this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, especially how it's also like, hey, we're back around to the beginning of the pandemic again, almost around the same time it started last year. Like, this is too much. This is too much. And as someone who lives in an already, just teetering on the brink of fear most of the time anyway, I'm just like, I gotta do something with my time. and and I have. I mean, before the pandemic, I started working on a book of comic strips, and I was trying to get it done before the pandemic ended, and I finished it. I've sold copies. I have some right over there on the shelf. This is going to be the second one. I mean, but it's weird because again, depending on how you're living your pandemic life, i.e., in my case, in my little fortress of solitude with a vast array of imaginary characters, um, and a significant level of paranoia of the outside world and either spreading or being spread upon the virus. Um, so where and how my week started getting weird. So last week we talked about, guy down the hall, hey, can you help me move? No, I can't interact with people right now because there's a virus out there, and if I spend any time with people, I spend the rest of the night thinking I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick until I make myself nauseous, and I'm like, oh no, this is just anxiety. I don't have COVID or whatever. So um, the brush is just too big. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Um, the flip side, the other edge to that knife is, of course, yes, of course, like, I need to help people. I need to. I wish I could be just uh, as cold as I think I am on the inside and be like, no, no, I'm not the kind of person that helps people. I spend all my time making stuff that make me happy, and if people want to watch it, they can be happy with it too. But I'm not good at people. But realistically, I was raised in a way that was very strictly, if you see somebody who you can help, you effing help them, buddy. And it's just like, yep, that's what I do. I can't understand how people don't live that way. So did some moving, and then still I'm just like, all right, that was too much time around too many people in close quarters and just doing this and that. I was like, now I just need to quarantine myself. So it's like I'll psych myself back up. I'll get some groceries. I got some groceries, and now I'm hunkered down. No more anything. No more people until I go home and visit my mom at Christmas, which is not that far away. Still within my bubble, but still a thing that freaks me out. Um, and again, like thinking like I'm a maniac for like, "Ugh, I'm just gonna go visit my mom. Like that's insane. And then I open up Facebook and something as simple as like Space Goonie's sister is hanging out with Space Goonie's other sister, and I'm just like, is that is that okay? Is that okay? And of course it is, but also it's not. And that's that's the tightrope that we're all walking on, is the just like, yeah, it is fine. Like a lot of people are doing normal stuff and it's fine. And there is like a this is the safe way to do it, and then there's other things that are just like, is that this? What's the safe way? I don't know. I don't know. And it's even more confusing because I'm in a province where it seems like 90% is there's nothing to worry about. There's not a whole lot going on, infection wise. But not a whole lot is still not zero. There's still some, so that's all I need. I just need some to freak me out. So like I said, I went trying to be a normal like everybody else, and I'm just going to get a haircut, still keep my mask on, still hands drying out, soaking them in hand sanitizer and washing them 16 times before I get somewhere, while I'm there, and as soon as I leave, and then finding out like, oh, the only hotspot in town was the Walmart across the parking lot from where you were. And like, well, where else did they go on their way home from the Walmart that day? And exactly, it's like everyone has their extended bubbles. People have jobs. Uh, there's very few people like me that don't have to leave their home and they can still go to their job. I'm very, very lucky, and to have the kind of job that I have, and that the people of Streamlabs are just amazing, and they do uh, love the employees as much as they do, or at least they love me. And it seems like they love everybody quite a bit, but they like me. I think I'm oh, narcissism. Um, but no. I'm gonna be taking a break from my Streamlabs job for a little bit to go work on a short film for my friend, and and the fact that it was like, oh, like this is terrifying. Like I've always been afraid of like, can I even take a week off, and will I be replaced? And in this case, it's just like, no, like there's just nobody like you. So please come back. Just come back. And yeah, you can leave, but please come back. We can't find anybody like you. Like, wow. Like that's a pretty magical feeling to have a big old corporation make you feel like, yeah, I can go do something else and still come back to my job, and and they'll be happy for me. Um, because the world is crazy. Because you go on Facebook for 5 minutes, and most jobs are like, hey, Steve, I noticed you went to the bathroom during the workday. So, I mean, you're fired. So you're fired. Or we're gonna dock you for, like, 5 hours of pay because you took 5 minutes to pee. Like, I was gonna have to pee in my pants. Like, well, you should have learned how to control it. Like, gotta stay hydrated. Gotta eat to live. Gotta live to eat. Gotta work to eat. It's Mr. Aladdin, sir. Have a wish or two or three. I'm in the mood to help you, dude. Why can't I just go and pee? Poor Amazon workers. Um, So, like I said, it was like, uh, my job is great because I never feel like I, I I can't afford the time to go to the bathroom. I can't afford the time to take a minute to stop and breathe because I'm panicked about the state of the world. Jeff is my supervisor, my team manager, whatever they're called, and he's just the greatest. Because when it is like, hey Jeff, gonna need a few minutes. If you need me, I'm just gonna have a quick panic attack. Is not related to work. Just whatever in the world, or I read the news, and I just need 5 minutes to explode, and I think I'm gonna be fine. And I'll let you know. Is that cool? Like whatever. Oh my god. Like yeah, whatever you need. Take care of yourself. And really actually believing somebody when they say like, no, take care of yourself. That's you know Streamlabs is about making stuff to help people make things. They're not about giving people anxiety. So it's just hard when I live inside my head. And again, you just look out at the world and you're just like, well, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Ugh, it takes me 3 days to convince myself to go to the grocery store. And other people are just like, literally like, hey, I'm going to judo. Like, what do you mean you're going to judo? How do you judo in a pan? But I'm going to record a podcast about that tomorrow and get to the bottom of that. Which the answer is, hey, stop being so afraid of things and live your life. And my motto has just always been, hey, I got to keep being afraid of things so that I can be alive to live my life. Because as soon as I stop being afraid, spider sense stops working and you get hit in the face with a girder. Mm-hmm. Bing. Like a ATST being attacked by a bunch of little Ewoks. So, like I said, all that aside, just trying to convincing myself like I'm not doing anything anymore. I'm done with going outside. My phone rings. I don't know. Let's say the next day after I decide no more doing stuff. I got groceries. I can stay here for a long time without having to leave. Still have to figure out some Christmas present type stuff because I don't think what I ordered is going to get here on time. A girder, a girder belt. Like a big metal girder that like holds up buildings. Um, the things that Bugs Bunny hits people with when they're building stuff, or a sexy, sexy girder belt. Hold up your girders. I'm still on this camera. Um, Again, not like it's not that I don't like. I love helping. That's why I like doing this. That's why I like just making things. It's just for the here are things that I just want to make and put it into the world, and that's what I do because I don't have any superpowers. I'm not a big tough guy, so I can't go out fighting crimes, and I don't know, lifting things off people like a Magneto. So the phone rings, and Nelly, who may watch this eventually, sometimes is watching, calls me, and is like, hey, you couldn't come rescue me. Like, what's happening now? My car broke down on the highway. I need somebody to rescue me. Like, okay, cool. And of course, my immediate thought is like, yep, I'll be there as fast as I can. You're not that far away. I just got to drive down the highway. I'll get you. And the tow truck will come and get your truck. And then, where do you need to come? Like, oh, back to town here. No big deal. And like once I hang up and like start to grab my stuff to go, then I'm just like, oh yeah, this isn't normal. Go get somebody, like covering my hands with stuff, grabbing masks and things, and then still just feeling like there's somebody in my car. There's somebody in my car, and it's super hard, nearly impossible to drive with a mask on, and talking at the same time because I can't drive with somebody and not talk at them. So mask is definitely not on, and there's another person, and there's another person, and in the moment, not even feeling that bad about it because it is just like, again, like you're a safe person that I trust, and whatever. Like neither of us have signs of anything, and it's just a quick little drive, but still at the heart of it, again, the same thing is that doctor that everybody was mad at because he went to go pick up his kid in another province is like, I'm just driving down the road, pick up a person who's trapped on the side of the highway. And, again, just the why wouldn't I go do that? And the only reason is, oh, well, for the rest of the week, I now have to sit with this added psychosis that is, I was in close proximity to a person. They used to just only make me nervous in the time when I was within the proximity of a person. But now it's like, oh, now it's 12 hours later, 18 hours later. Should I call the police and have them arrested? Should I run and go to the hospital and get tested? Oh god. Like this is insane. Like again, the exact same reason why I can't quite understand beyond what the CinemaSins refers to as the power of boners. Like, hey, the only reason that anything in this movie is taking place is because this character is just driven by the existence of this other woman, and it's just like no matter what happens, even though I'm pretty sure that lady just turned into a demon, still kind of hot, so I'm still gonna go along with her plans until she really tries to murder me because power of boners. And in normal society, normal world with all of the apps and whatever, or just the sitcom version of things where it's just like, oh, like I came home from the bar alone. Like, yeah, do you go home from the bar with somebody every time you go to the bar? Because if that's the case, then oh my god, good, gross, gross, gross. Like that's too much. That's too much contact and physical and or salivical and or penetrational contact with somebody that I'm just like, like I get, before masks, I was like, oh god, there's 3 people who definitely have a cold at the mall, and I have to walk by them like, I'm gonna hold my breath and walk by these people. I couldn't even imagine, hey, you guys, just noticed you 3 people here. Any of you 3 wanna come back to my place and like mess around? Cause I'm totally not afraid of getting whatever's going on over here, be it a cold or worse. I don't know. Everything is weird and confusing. In the world of existing. So whatever, that's fine. Uh, Helped her out. She got on her way. Everybody's life keeps going. I put up the Christmas tree. I put up a few things. put this sloth guy making a Christmas list out. Look at that guy. Adorable. Beyond adorable. I got it like at the end of Christmas when everything was on sale for like $3. I'm like, oh my god, this stupid thing that definitely isn't worth $40. The grocery store is trying to sell for $40 is like $6. Scoop. There's nothing I want more than a festive Santa sloth on my shelf at Santa Claus time. Done. No other decorations required. So that was pretty fun. Also to like get out the Christmas box and see like, oh my god, I have 1,000 more Christmas decorations than I thought I had. Huh? Last year was a lot more festive than I thought it was. This year looks basically the same, except that I'm just sitting there like, Christmas lights on. All right, let's see which British panel shows have some Christmas specials playing. Oh, just one so far, and then happened to watch Community's stop motion Christmas special purely by accident, just going through the Amazon TV, and I was like, oh, what are the odds? Put up the decorations while I watch those things, and Christmas time QI for this year. And TV shows as well, like watching 8 out of 10 Cats, and normally again all these shows like everyone's fully separated. Like Taskmaster is happening, I assume, somewhere pretty near the same place where 8 out of 10 Cats is filmed. And on Taskmaster, everybody is like 12 feet apart for all of the activities, all of the tasks, the interview portions, the end game at the end, everything. There's all social distance. And then I throw on 8 out of 10 Cats, and it's like, oh, this is the new Christmas special from like, this month. And they're sitting like right next to each other. At one point, somebody's got some food, and Rob Beckett is putting some frosting into some other person's mouth, and they're all just close to each other, touching no less. And I'm just like, now, it is still like a TV set, a movie sets. You've got to get tested before you go on the set. But usually, from the stories that I've heard from listening to podcasts featuring actors, a lot of times they get tested before they go to set, and they don't find out the results till like later on that day. And then it's like, shut it down. That person has it. Like, well, we've all been working with that person for the past 9 hours. And then Robert Pattinson has COVID, and there's no Batman movie. I don't know. So all of that stuff leads to just exaggerated paranoia and delusion. So when you're already nervous and confused and paranoid about the world, and you think you hear something, so you take a peek out of the peek hole of your doorway into the hallway today, and it looks like there's a pile of just white powder sprinkled all over the doorway across the hall. Looks like there's a pile of white powder sprinkled over the entryway between my section of the hallway and the next section of the hallway. Like, huh? The next door that I can see, definitely boosh, a pile of like white powdery flour looking substance all over the doorway. Open up my door, yep, somebody's definitely walked down the hallway and just thrown a pile of mysterious white powder all over the bottom crack of my doorway. No, this is indoor. This is indoors, nothing to do with snow. Nothing to do with snow. Just 100%. What do I do right now? Is somebody attack? And then I'm like, so I put my shoes on, put a mask on, and I look around the building for some sort of sign. There must be a sign that would say, hey, we put down some powder for bugs, or we're trying to track mice. I don't know what this is, or somebody is deciding to Um, I don't even know if they're trying to see who's leaving their apartments or not. I couldn't even come up with anything other than maybe, just maybe, it's some sort of festive ritual that somebody does. Perhaps the lady at the end of the hall has a thing where it's like, yep, because I want to protect all of you, I want you all to have good times and good health. You take a good fistful or two of flour and you sprinkle it over doorways, and that's like for something I don't even know. Like I was grasping at everything, but mostly was like this is almost definitely for bugs or rodents or something, but nobody would put this amount of pesticide of any kind around all the doorways without putting up a sign or leaving a letter in our mailbox or texting us. So I text the landlord with some pictures, like, any idea why this is happening right now? Because I looked upstairs and I looked downstairs and it's only on my floor. Why not the other two floors of the building? So definitely freaked out, hoping like somebody would just say like, oh no, like, yeah, it's just protection flower. It's just protection flower. Don't worry about the protection flower. It's there to protect you with its flower power. And landlord writes back just like, oh yeah, I have no idea. It looks like it's like some sort of bug powder or whatever. Like, the end. Like, that's it. It looks like, and then just writes like, it's strange. Or is it anthrax? How would somebody use this much anthrax? This is too much. This is so much. Oh my god. I'm already just nervous about something. Like, can I have one day? Can I have one full day where I'm just not freaked out by things? I mean, come on, guys. Come on. Now, the only thing I can think to get answers is to go to the apartment at the end of the hall. And it's the last apartment. It's like the only apartment that I'm just like, there's no way I can't knock on that door. It's the scariest door to knock on. It's either going to be the lady who screams everything or the guy who is too drunk to converse with. But I'm like, it's the only way I'm going to get answers. It either was them or I'm calling the police because somebody wants to poison somebody or their pets and they couldn't figure out which door, so they did all of the doors and the stairway. But the fact that it was like the stairway entrance as well led me to believe like this is definitely somebody trying to deal with something. And then the fact that there was a few dead flies on the floor, I'm like, okay, it is killing bugs. So first thing I'm going to do is sweep it away from the door across the hallway so that the dog and cat under the door that I could clearly hear going and blowing it away wouldn't snort any up. So I made at least a good trench between the doorway and the powder so that the animals across the hall, wouldn't die from what may be poison or protection flower. Still don't know yet. Eventually convinced myself to check, just go knock on that door. I was like, I can't. This is the only thing I could do is knock and ask these people. Go down, knock on the door. TV is cranked. I just hear a definitely not a good day to knock on this door. They're not coming to the door. Come back to my apartment. Like, oh no. Oh, I can't leave it like this. I can't leave it like this. I need to know. I need to know. And the only other thing I can think is, hey, cops, anthrax scare? I can't be this. No, no, I'm not. I can't call it an anthrax scare when it's almost definitely not. But is it definitely not? I don't know. I was also just watching a thing about Die Hard with a Vengeance, and sometimes people are just leaving explosives all over town for somebody to solve their riddles to get revenge for what they did to their brother 2 movies ago. I don't know. I don't know what Nakatomi plazas have been destroyed in other people's storylines. I only know what's going on in this storyline. And I'm the star of that storyline. And if any Nakatomi building will be destroyed, I am the destroyer of those Nakatobis. I am the guy who writes on shirts that I have the gun now, even if I don't have a gun. I'll lie about that gun, and I'll be like, hey, it's an Uzi. I've got 2 Uzis, you guys. Dear bad guys, I've got a bunch of Uzis, plus this guy's gun, whatever kind of gun that is. Let's call it an AK, and let's say that I'm A-OK, and you guys are going to be doing the day-day, or the stanky leg, whichever one where you fall down because your leg is broken, because I'm going to shoot you guys in the kneecaps. Yeah, that. And, mostly it's just dealing with the fact it was like, I already don't want to knock on the door of anybody in this building. But especially just not that one. It's like, no matter what happens, it's not going to be good. Even if they're like, yeah, it was us. We did it to protect you. She's still going to scream, I just did that to protect you. It was a good thing. What's wrong with you? Or, I don't know what these people are doing. They're trying to poison us. So, in my detectiving, before I knocked on the door, I'm looking. So it's like each of the doors has powder, but there is footprints, like clear barefoot footprints. So I follow those back. The footprints clearly come from their door, where somebody has obviously, like, with their bare feet, just slid their feet back and forth in this poison. So I'm like, either they're the ones that did it, and it's part of whatever this ritual is, hey, we rub around in it, and then we walked around door to door, because they just left very distinct bare feet footprints from their door down to in front of my door, and then you can see it turn around and go back the other way. Now, the question in my head is, did they see it? They walked from door to door to inspect it themselves, and just went back in and didn't care that they just walked through anthrax in bare feet? I mean, I'm over here like, get it out of the doorway. Even vacuuming something of it up, where I'm just like, what am I doing? I mean, I'm vacuuming up evidence, having anthraxy dust or whatever kind of poison dust it might be, aerating into the air through the vacuum exhaust. All of these things. So, finally just like broke down and gave in. Little white feet or not? I think I like it better without the little white feet separations. Although they're like my little socks, like my little gloves that I have. It's like little gloves, the little socks. But you're just gonna take them away? So now I just have orange feet, and you don't even care. And that's just right now, just out of nowhere, just changing the canon on my character. That's what I can do. I made you. I can remake you however I want. So, definitely no way I'm going to get any work done if I can't figure this out. Slash, suddenly I feel like it's my responsibility to, make sure everybody doesn't die in the building. I know that's not my responsibility, but sometimes, Rips, it is. So I finally go back, knock on their door again, still no answer. Come back here, do another lap around my apartment, like, whoa, what am I doing? I'm hungry, but now I'm afraid to eat anything. Am I getting anthrax in my face? So, mask back on again, go back down a third time, knock, knock, knock. A little bit harder this time. He opens up the door, and I'm like, oh God, is this better or worse than the lady? I don't even know who I was wishing to open the door, but dude opens the door, and he is just as incoherent as he normally is, I guess. Like, trying my best not to be accusatory, trying to just be like, do you know what's going on here? Did they knock on your door to tell you they were laying down poison? What is this? Do you know what's going on? And he clearly thought I was accusing him, which I would have been right to do, because he did it. He was like, oh yeah, it's for the bugs. It's for the bugs. Like, that apartment over there had a pile of bugs, and I don't want them, coming into our apartment, so we got to stop it before it comes into the other apartments. But he didn't talk that fast and clearly at all. Not that that was clear. That was me trying to mumble through that. But something like, oh, there's bugs in the other places. Bugs. Like, oh, yeah, yeah, there's bugs. There was bugs. It's just, there's flies. Flies. So, I mean, covering the ground with powder is not normally how you take care of flies. But in seeing the flies dead on the ground is, it definitely works. So, if it can take flies out of the air, I don't want to be breathing this in. But as I was googling frantically during all of this before I knocked on the door the third time, it was like, hey, there's this dimethyl stuff that people use. It's definitely this stuff, and it's like food grade, whatever. It's not deadly. It's eco-friendly. Blah blah blah. Everybody uses it to deal with bugs and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, I'm sure. I've used a version of it, I'm sure. Maybe it's just like borax. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is it's not flour. And that's giving me some nice smooth lines. So he says like, yep, yeah, yeah, oh yeah, I put that down. He's like, or he didn't even say I put that down. He said like it was uh oh, I can't remember the word that he used, but he didn't say I did it or whatever. But it was like it was my own cost, to my own cost. I did this or whatever to take care of this for all of us. Basically, out of my own money, I paid for this. Like, okay, cool. Just wanted to know. That's fine. He was like, it's eco friendly. It's eco friendly. Like you can tell, he was ready for a fight. He was absolutely ready to be yelled at. And I'm just like, I just need to know if it's poison or not. That's all I needed to know. So then it's like, all right, I was right as far as I'm concerned to keep the dog and cat across the hall from snorting this up, and brushed it away from my own door a little bit because I don't have a pile of bugs in my apartment. It's just the more dirtier apartments that do. Um, and then shortly, seriously, why? Going so pixelated. The full quality. Pretty much was like, yep, that's fine. Like that's fine. Like I'm gonna go now. Like my other big fear was once I start talking to these people, they are worse than me. They're just gonna drunk talk until I scream and run away. But mostly I'm just like, you just can't do that. You just can't do that. You can't, you can do it inside your own apartment, whatever. I've filled this place with poison 1,000 times when I thought I had or did have different bugs. That again were the fault of the people from out in the hallway. Um, but the fact the landlord didn't care. There was a mystery powder. He did eventually show up. I don't know if he did any investigating. He didn't seem to come in the building. But then, yeah, right before the stream, I could hear some kind of noise, or I thought, like, is somebody at my door now? Probably, it's got to be the landlord coming to say, like, all right, what's going on here? Or I figured it out, because I didn't bother to text him back to say, hey, I figured out the mystery, because you don't care, so I don't need your jams. So then, yeah, right before the stream, I could hear something. I look at the peephole, and I thought, like, oh, he sent somebody to clean it up. And then I realized, oh no, that's dude from down the end of the hallway, still in his bare feet, still in his jogging pants that don't fit, mopping up the hallway in a haphazardly, old drunky kind of way. And I'm just like, well, that's that. It's cleaned up. Maybe somebody else yelled at him. None of the other people in the building seem to care. But maybe the landlord came in and said, like, hey, yeah, no, you got to clean that up now. Because it was a lot. I mean, like, all, like, just on my door, on all the doors. Like, it really looked like it was very festively thrown, I would say. And just here and there, and then again, just the footprints. And I'm just like, I seriously need a day to not be afraid of everything. Like, it was a real good day. Like, Monday, amazing day. Tuesday, so far, a real good day. And then whatever that was, 3:30, 3 o'clock, like, going on in my work Slack. Hey guys, hey team, do you know if it's a thing to like throw mystery powder in front of people's doors? Is that a thing for like the holidays that anybody's ever heard of? Because if not, should I call the police? Am I being attacked? Have I? How much of this have I breathed in? Oh my God! I need 5 minutes of sanity. What's wrong with everybody? Because you can't look to the outside world because that's still crazy. I mean, the new rise of the I don't even know what they're called, is the MAGA faction. Because it's like, hey, we don't like the Democrats or the liberals or whatever, and we don't like Republicans either because they haven't supported us. So now we're just going to be our own MAGA faction of maniacs, and we're just going to harass everybody and attack the world now. And it's just like awesome, awesome. Everything just keeps getting better. Uh, and it's like at least within my fortress of solitude, it's nice to get a little bit of solace. What's the deal? What's the deal, Jerry Seinfeld? What is the deal? Because I say, can I get 5 minutes? Because then the rest of the week was, so first was like, rescue me on the highway. No big deal. This is not going to break me completely. Only mildly. Put up a tree. Felt pretty good. Life isn't that bad. And then, again, I can't, days go by real quick or real slow. It's midnight at 4:30, and then all energy goes away, and fear rises the darker it gets. That's just how life works. I don't make the rules. I just try real hard to abide by most of them, as many of them as I can. So, like I said last week, helped move downstairs, upstairs, treacherous at best, manageable sized boxes, excuse me, but still lots of them, and awkward walking spaces where I'm definitely banging my knees and my legs to pieces as I deal with the hill, the concrete retaining wall, the weird spiral staircase that is just way too tight to move these things, awkwardly trying to handle boxes up and down. Just everything about it is just like, again, knowing how little I've gotten any real exercise or done any real manual physical thing to achieve any type of strength is just like, oh wow, I am so out of shape. I didn't even realize it was this possible. Everything hurts more than anything has ever hurt in my whole life. I have to do some exercise. So trying to take that amount of strenuous activity and use that to parlay into just some regular generic home exercises, i.e., doing some of my yogas and just normal push-ups and sit-ups and the weights and stuff that I have here. Again, nothing extensive, but enough that I'm like, all right, instead of being this sore, let's just keep working on this and stretch it out, work it out, drink some water, do some walking. It's 7,000 degrees outside. Let's treat it like it's summertime and go for a walk, right? I'm gonna say right, correct, sir. I think you are correct, sir. I'm always correct, sir. But yeah, so I'm just like, I'm gonna do that. I've bought some junk food. I've got some cheesies and some chips, but I also got a pile of clementines and apples and fruits and or vegetables. And I'm like, okay, you know what? This time, I'm gonna eat my fruits and vegetables first. I'm gonna eat my oranges as a snack. I'm gonna eat apples at breakfast time and or oranges instead of cheeses and crackers or whatever random stuff. I haven't really gotten any meat of any kind in the longest time. The longest time, except under extreme periods of just like, oh, everything sucks. What's the point of anything? I'm going to get a hamburger from somewhere and then go and get an actual hamburger instead of a veggie burger. Oh, I still only see the cast leg as a little cat leg. And feel like after your casting is done, you've got to get those cat socks that look like cat paws and only wear those on one leg all the time, and the other leg is a normal sock all the time, just to be like, what? Oh no, that's my cat leg, and never ever admit that it's a sock. That's what I think you need to do, avocado shakes. Um, but so anyway, like I said, I'm just like trying to do like healthy things. This, from what I understand, is healthy things. And again, even just the whole meat thing is like, I'm not even like, ah, meat is the worst. It's like I read all this stuff. I could see why meat is the worst, but oh man, meat is still so good. But still, I'm like, yep, I've gotten really used to, and I'm enjoying a lot of these different fake chicken, fake hamburger type things, and then I feel good about it. I feel good about it. So then after the moving of the stuff, I'm bruised. I'm bruised here and there, and I'm like, all right, that's understandable. Like I had boxes, like pressing against my I'm gonna say calves, against my thighs and like my wrists, and my shins are definitely torn to pieces from this step or whatever. Like all of these bruises and or wounds make sense to me. Everything's fine. Nothing to have a panic attack about. But you came up with something, right? I mean, you're not going to tell a story where you're like, hey, so anyway, oh, I had a whole bunch of things and then I did panic about them. Good story. Hey, there's a shark in the water and then it swam away. Everything was fine. Nothing happened in Amityville, Sharktown. That's a stupid movie. That's boring. Get to the panic. Get to the panic. Hey, brah, it's okay to not be panicked. Dudes and dudettes, you could just be chill and just draw a picture or write a poem. You don't need to be put yourself in situations that are gonna make you scared. Thanks, Ted. You're wonderful. Not having that other camera is really, really weird. Didn't realize how much I needed it. But hold on to what you got, because you don't know what you got till it's gone, and then you're paving paradise, putting up parking lots. Dooby dooby wop 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 wop. So bruises start to go away or go away like they normally do. Feel like a normal person in the world. And then several days, if not like basically a whole week passes. And then Thursday, I'm like, huh, is that another bruise? Is that another Bruce Willis over here? What's going on? What did I do? I think I might have like banged my knee again or from doing yoga. You don't get bruises from doing yoga. That's insane. But like I said, I was like, I still want to get blood flowing. I want to still like maintain some sort of movement, and make sure all of this vegetable and fruit eating, and drinking is towards something positive, right? I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder. I'm not trying to fight crime. I just want to feel like a good person. So then Friday, I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? Like my knees are just like turning red, and my shins have got like four new bruises. There's just just random bruises all over the place that I'm like, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything except yoga. There's no reason for these bruises. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. So of course, like, that's what I'm doing. I'm spending like the afternoon or the morning, whatever it was, just losing my mind. And like I said earlier, when I believe it was here, perhaps it was on a forum. It was on both. I know that today I filled up a forum that said Jeff is amazing. He makes me feel like I'm good at my job, and that he cares that I survive and I'm alive, and that's great. And I think I started the stream by saying Jeff is awesome, because Jeff was like, or well, I was like, hey Jeff, kind of freaking out right now, just using my work to take my mind off it. But whilst I do this, I'm trying to find myself a local, like a family doctor, because I haven't been able to do that still. And during a pandemic, right before the holiday, seems like a perfect time to do it. But I'd really like to sit with a medical professional and say, hey, am I overreacting? Or did my kidney shut down? Have I become a hemophiliac? Here's a good idea. I'll go to the internet and see, is spontaneous rampant bruising anything to do with a weird COVID side symptom? Because, you keep hearing that as well. It's like, oh, there's mutations, there's other symptoms. Like, all right, cool. Cool. Wicked cool. Awesome. Let's think about that. So Google that, and it shows me other things where it's like, do you have these weird sores on your toes? Like, no! Oh my god, no! I have these kind of bruises. Like, no, that's not COVID, dog. Like, thanks, internet. Well, dare I ask? Dear Google, wish I may, wish I might, find out, are these bruises tight? Or are they something that I should be filled with fright? Syntactually, that's just not right. But you're igniting my fight or flight. What's up, Google? What's up? Just give me, just give me a list. Why not just give me a random list of the top 4 things this could relate to, and then a ... that I definitely won't press. And I know that this is the wrong thing, but I can't find a doctor at the moment. So, give me a reason to go to emergency or whatever. Normally, you just go to the walk-in clinic and go to the walk-in clinic like, hey, walk-in clinic, I hate it here, but it's the best that I can do. You guys have the list of doctors that are taking patients yet? And they're like, hey, if this was anywhere else, yeah, here's the list, and then you go get one of these idiots. But so far, they've been like, no, if anything, another doctor just retired, so everybody that doctor had has all just been spread out to the remaining doctors. So yeah, no, try again next time. Like, okay, cool. So I don't know. You gotta know somebody. You gotta know somebody. So I was asking around, like, hey, anybody? Oh yeah, my friend who's married to a doctor. Hey, dog. I know, I'm pretty sure that your husband doesn't have a practice, but he seems like a pretty big medical deal. Does he know of any doctors who not only would A, take me on and deal with whatever I'm going through right now, be it mental or physical or both, and just who's not scary. I want somebody who's not going to scare me and who's also going to take me on. Does that exist? And they were like, yeah, right. No, there's no such thing as getting a doctor now, especially not now. And even if you did, they're just not going to see you. That's just not a thing. And I'm like, good. I don't even want to see anybody. I don't even want to be fine with just like, hey, let's Skype this out. Let's Skype this out, guy. So because of this, just making myself more terrified, more paranoid. And then, yeah, tell Jeff, hey, Jeff. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Jeff. Freaking out over here, and Jeff's like, go see it, just go to the doctor, do whatever you have to do to be healthy, go do that. And I've got you covered, everything's cool, you're awesome, I'm awesome, virtual high fives all around. Like, okay, yes, like, good idea, good plan, I'm gonna find somebody or something. Trying to steal CTK's doctor, and just like, that's no good. And like I said, other guy was just like, you're not getting a doctor. But if you're that scared, go to the emergency. Like, last thing I wanted to do is go to the emergency, because so often I do go to the clinic, I do go to the emergency, and I'm like, okay, so I think that I have leukemia, or I don't know, some sort of tumor, but I'm pretty sure you're going to tell me it's an ingrown hair, or that I just have something, whatever. Each of these times. I mean, at least, sometimes it's like, I have an ear infection, check, I was right, I know what an ear infection is. But other times it's just like, I'm really sorry to waste your time. You can see there's a long lineup, lots of people. That dude clearly had a finger cut off, but I'm scared. And I don't know anybody who can turn off this fear except for you with your magical medical devices. So I finally break down and go to the emergency, and it's still funny. Obviously, it's funny. Obviously, I'm fine. Not to spoil the story. Spoiler alert. Not to spoil the story is the most spoiler alert ever. Oh my god. I was still hoping maybe you were gonna be like, and that's why I'm dying right now, and that was gonna be funny for me. You can see how for me that would be funny because I'd be like, oh, that's unacceptable mug, and then I could sell some mugs that are like, if you don't believe that this should be a thing, then buy this mug and then support my mug so that I can live forever in infamy somehow without you. You're a monster. But yeah. So first off, again, I'm just like I don't want to go also to waste people's time with my fears, and B because it's COVID land. The last place I want to go is to the hospital where the first thing you have to pass is the COVID testing area. Just drive up, don't get out of your car, we'll swab you, and then you go away and you'll get get your results. Um, so first I drive up to there. Well, first I drive in and I'm going through in my head of just like, well, what is this? What is this? Maybe this is still some weird COVID related thing and I don't know. One. Two, when I get scared, I suddenly get real hot for a second and sweat for a bit. I'm just like, is this COVID fever or am I flipping out? Because if I do my anxiety breathing, i.e., breathe in for 5 seconds, hold it for 5 seconds, and then breathe out for 5 seconds, and then repeat that like 3 times, I'm like, all right, my COVID fever goes away. Slash, oh, my shallow, or not shallow, what's that thing? Labored breathing? Hard to breathe? Whatever the breathing part of the COVID thing. Ooh, yeah, I'll have to check that out. So I did take down some names of some doctors that I can hunt down as well. See if they're taking on some people. And the other thing too is just like people are just done. Like, oh, it's December. Like people who make all the money don't work in December. Like, yeah, who do you think you are? Like, I don't know. I don't know who I think I am. But and mostly just like the fear that outpatients doctors usually are just extra terrifying. They're extra overworked and just not in the mood for my nonsense. And I just don't want to feel. I don't want to feel bad about feeling bad. It's just like I already am afraid. So anyway, first things first. Why it's hilarious. I drive up to the COVID lady, and she comes over, and I'm looking at her like my head's about to explode. And she's like, "Hey, so what's up?" And I'm like, "Okay, so here's the thing. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. You're gonna have to tell me right now because I don't know the answer. I don't know what's going on, but I am afraid. And I'm just really afraid, and I'm not sure that right now I'm just having a panic sweat and panic breathing. Or if you like, and I'm totally fine with this, I could just make the get into the COVID checkout lineup right now, and I'll go park over there, and I'll wait the 2 hours to get the results before I go in to emergency to see if what is actually fearing me, scaring me, is what I should be afraid of. And so she was like, all right, so no shortness of breath then. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, and I've stopped sweating while I was explaining this to you because just telling you what's going on is making me feel a little bit better. She's like, yeah, you're clearly having a panic attack, and I can see just how clenched up you are. Like, you can? Like, I'm wearing a sweater and a winter jacket, and I mean, and you can still see how clenched I am. Like, yeah, you're clearly having a panic attack, and you're afraid of what's going on. So she went through the checklist, and she's like, yep, you don't have a shortness of breath. Like, you just told me all of the things in the world. Um, uh, you just said all the words. I'm like, oh yeah, I can still talk for 2 hours straight without even noticing. So probably that's probably yeah, yeah, you're right. So that made me feel a little bit better. So I'm just like, cool. She's like, all right, yeah, Just go park your car, go inside, give them this sheet, normal thing, and then they'll take you in. Like, all right, awesome. So I go through that, go in, go through the triage, do all the stuff where they take your information, blah blah blah, bling 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 blah. Finally, get in to see the doctor. And he was awesome. Like, just super, super awesome. Because same deal. I was just like, all right, so this is what I said to that lady, but I don't even know what's going on. I don't even know. And he's just like, all right. So instead of saying, like, let me check you out or whatever, he's like, what do you think is going, like, what do you think you need to be checked for right now? And then we'll kind of bring you down from there. Like, oh, that's exactly what I needed to hear. Like, wow, yes, okay, cool. So I'm like, first, like ideally, like at the top of my list, I'm gonna say scurvy. So, well, the list that the internet gave me when I looked this up, it was like it only showed me a few, and I refused to look any further because just reading those words made me feel like I was going to die anyway. So, when I'm like, this is not the first time I've just been terrified. So either way, I'm really sorry to be like using all of your time. And he was just super, super nice about the whole situation. But I'm just like, top of the list, scurvy or a vitamin K deficiency, which I have to put to the side right away because most of my diet consists of these blended up things, and vitamin K there's a bunch of it in kale and the other stuff that I eat. So I definitely there's no way I can have scurvy right now. Like, that's just not a possibility. But if you told me I have scurvy, like, that kind of seems good. And the even better one might be what was I? Yeah, vitamin K deficiency. Oh, I was like, even COVID. If you just said this is a side COVID thing, and I'm like, yep, I'll even take that right now because the next part down the list was just like, leukemia, kidney failure, some other thing, and then a dot dot dot. And I'm just like, so that's my list. But ideally, you're just gonna maybe tell me, hey, you're old now, and this is just the way bruises work, and you were already bruised up. And then even just the simple act of doing yoga, which was on a thick yoga mat, which was on a thick carpet, and there's just no reason to have gotten bruises from it, but because you were already like pre-bruised, like you were just on the edge of bruising, you just needed nothing to activate these bruises. But then the other thing is just like, am I slowly turning, is it jaundice? Am I turning yellow? Have my kidneys stopped working? Is that the thing that it is? Is it kidneys? And he was like, oh, he's like, well, let me check out your spleen. I'm like, spleen? What does the spleen even do? I didn't act that hard or react that hard, but I must have been somewhere close to there. He's like, all right. He's like, before you even get upset, he's like, don't even worry about your spleen. Don't even worry about spleens. Like, spleens are fine. He's like, I'm just making sure because a spleen is a thing that can be ruptured or can be whatever. So like, I'm just gonna finger your spleen real quick. And he's like, yep, your spleen is good. So it's like, don't worry about your spleen. He's like, but what we're going to do is we're going to take some blood work, and we're going to check you for all of these things. All of these things can be checked in your blood. Check the platelets, check this thing. But yeah, just like, oh yeah, I was like, or a hemophiliac. Have I become a hemophiliac? Because I don't know. I haven't done anything in the longest time, so maybe, I am just extra super bruisey now. Maybe if I cut myself, I will bleed forever. But I've definitely gotten scratches and whatever in the last while that are just like, yep, I didn't bleed forever. I'm 99% sure I'm not a hemophiliac, but excuse me, I feel like in some way that's still going to be better than everything below hemophiliac on the list that I just looked at. And he was like, yeah. He's like, definitely don't look at the internet. That is not a good idea. Like, I know. I'm already just broken about, people's regular Facebook posts about COVID living. How dare I even think I could handle looking up, the seriousness of failing old bodies. Oh man. So first of all, it's like, he's like, all right, I was like, so COVID's at the top, and he's like, so anyway, like, well, let me ask you some COVID questions. I was like, told him the same thing about that, and then I just talked as hard as I talk, and he was like, all right, no shortness of breath. I'm like, everybody keeps saying that. I was like, but yes, that's my thing, is I talk a lot, and when I'm talking, I feel fine. When I'm working, when I'm doing something, if I go for a walk, I feel completely fine. That's why I think part of it is in my head. But unless I pull up my pant legs and you say, I don't see any bruises, then I'm like, perfect, even better. Then I gotta go talk to somebody about my head because I'm seeing things. But nope, you can clearly see these bruises and like these, my knees, they that's new. Like that's just showed up there. But as I'm showing him, I'm also realizing like that bruise is like almost gone now. So just sitting here for this long, oh god, he's definitely gonna tell me these are just bruises. And hey, drink more water, and you're an old man now. Bruises just take longer, but still, let's deal with the whole blood work thing. So during this whole time, I noticed Tim was online, so I tried to keep it real light with the hey, you know how hard I talk just telling the lady about the thing, and she was like, oh yeah, you don't have COVID, and he's like, oh my god, like what are you doing at the emergency then? Like, oh, just having a panic attack. He's like, so what are you there? Like you're just there for a panic attack? Like, oh no, I'm there because this is giving me a panic attack. So, just mostly joking around with him and relaying to him the things that I hear and see at the hospital, which are amazing and terrifying and hilarious. So that was that. That was going on. So he was like, "Cool. I'm gonna go do some stuff. Basically, I'll send somebody in to do some blood work, and then we'll figure out whatever it is. Like you're not gonna leave here, without knowing something or whatever." I'm like, "All right, cool. That's still mildly foreboding, but at least again, you're not trying to terrify me, and something part of this still feels a bit like you're humoring me and trying to keep me sane, which I absolutely appreciate." And then they just go into the next room, which is just one glass door that is not closed all the way, and I can just hear them saying things about me, about everything, but still, just like he goes away, and they're just like, "Yep, so what's the deal in there?" Um, uh, and I can hear the doctor like just very clearly say like, "Oh yeah, there's a guy in there or whatever." He's like very scared, like he's very very anxious, very nervous. So pretty much whoever goes in there, just really treat this guy like a tiny baby. He's very scared. He didn't say that. I had definitely had a doctor before say like, "Curtis, you know what I'm gonna say to you?" I'm just like, "You're the only doctor who's ever said to this to me, but you're gonna call me a baby again, aren't you?" And he's just like, "Yes, I'm going to call you a baby. You're being a baby." Cool. So I could hear him in there basically saying like, "Yep, there's just basically a child in there. Don't scare him. He's very easily scared." And they're like, "All right, yeah, like that's no problem. We know what people are like." I don't know how to pull a jacket open. So I hear that, which I find partly insulting, but again, partly, hey, we're on the same page. That is what I need you to think is, yep, please be gentle with me. Um, oh, he was not a cool doctor. He definitely wasn't cool with babies or weakness. That guy, I still liked him, I have to say, when I did see that particular doctor. But for what I needed him for, it was specific, and I was being. I still think I wasn't, but whatever. That's a story for another time, and probably not here. Um, I can't for the life of me figure out how to draw this. Um, the other thing I hear through the door while I'm waiting to get my blood work is one of the nurses or lady doctors. That's a terrible thing to say. But one of the many female voices coming from beyond the door saying, "Well, like, yeah, that guy, he's already sexually harassed me twice tonight." And they're just like, blah, 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 talking about this one specific patient who was just kind of being somewhat difficult. Sounded like some kind of old man. but I don't think he was that old. But he definitely said, I heard them say that this guy said to them when they'd leave the room, I, I hate it when you leave, but I love to watch you go, or whatever. Like that old line. I'm just like, oh my god, who? What? In what? What year is this? What's happening? Who says that? And then just hearing a bunch of stuff where it seems like they're definitely trying to get this guy to go home, and he must be on uh, just some kind of pills. Like he's just not all there. So they're just trying to like, all right, like I think they gave him like, here's a chip. You know, you take your taxi wherever you need to go. Just get in the taxi. You can call these two numbers, and then it's paid for or whatever. You don't have to worry about it. And he just couldn't seem to comprehend that. And they were like, yep, like whenever you need to go, the taxi will be here. He's like, what? Like, taxi is like outside waiting for me right now? Like the meter's running? Like, no, you still have to call it, but you still need, somewhere to go, or, you need to know what's going on. Like, what is going on? And he's like, well, can you guys call my mom? And started to give them the number for that. And then they were like, what? Like, how did you guys know? Like, you just gave us the number. Like, what's happening? And he was just a messed up. Somebody, like one of his friends, just dropped him off and left him there, I guess. And he just needed to go home. And he just couldn't seem to come together. And it sounded like they were basically discussing, like, either he leaves or we just call the police and they take him away. Because we're done with this guy. This is enough. And just the fact is, like, he's already sexually harassed us in several different ways already. So listening to that show was kind of funny for a minute. Hearing them talk about COVID was kind of weird. Just some odd things where just like, again, it sounds both super serious and a thing that it's just like, yeah, you just got to deal with it. It's not that big of a deal. We're just doing what we can. Very, very weird. Very weird. And then eventually I'm just sitting there messaging Tim on my phone, I'm scared, and just joking around about stuff, telling him what I was doing to the doctor, because always hilarious. The doctor, takes the thing, open your mouth and say done. He's like, now I'm just gonna stick this thing in your ear. He puts it in my ear, and I go, ear. He laughs because that's genius. I think that's genius. Okay, Dad, that's super dad lariat. Oh my god, that's the worst thing ever. Ear? No, it was awesome. It was awesome, and it was a good time. So I seem to keep him entertained enough that he wasn't too bothered by the fact that I'm just like, I'm wasting your time, but hopefully I'm not. I mean, hopefully I am, and I hope that you also hope that I'm wasting your time and you're not like, I'm a Dr. House over here. I need to solve a mystery, but you're not giving me any mysteries. Like, come to my apartment building. There's always a mystery. There's going to be some mystery dust on the floor in a few days, but always a mystery. Do you want to hear a story? I'll tell you some stories. I'll make your hair grow. And also heard them talking about how, like, this guy, his head was all shaved, possibly bald, and then like they were talking about that, and he mentioned like, oh, like I've actually have blonde hair. They're like, what? We had no idea. And then one of the women saying like, oh, like I tell my kid or I tell so and so, like, make sure to like appreciate your hair, like enjoy your hair while you have it, because you never know when you're gonna lose it. Like, you're saying this to a guy who seems pretty young and bald. Like, he seems to be, making it work and fine with it, and he's awesome. But thanks, avocado shakes. But it is still just a weird thing where it's like, it's just not a thing that you say. Like, that's just not a thing that you say. So whatever, that was all funny. Bloodwork lady comes to the door. Door opens. She's got the big tray of stuff. And somewhere right before then, I realized, blood work. blood work. I don't just get a needle. I can just barely. Like, getting a needle is one thing. Having blood taken out, I just realized, oh yeah, I forgot what having blood taken out was like. Oh my god. Oh my god. I was like, I can't handle that. I can't handle that. Oh, I was already just nervous about a regular needle. Now they're gonna make me pump my hand or whatever to make the blood come out. Oh, jeez. So the door slides halfway open. Lady looks in and looks at me, looks at her paper, looks at me again, kind of backs away and closes the door a little bit, like, okay. Door opens a bit again. She looks in. She's like, what's your name? And I tell her my name. She's like, okay, I guess. And then she comes in. She's like, sorry. She's like, it's just, you know, is that Limit Cynthia? LMT Cynthia? I'm Mountain Cynthia? Followage? That's not actually how you follow things, but thanks for the text follow. So she basically just says like, "Oh, sorry, like just your like your face, like you don't match the age on this paperwork here. I was just wasn't sure." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, no, I get that every once in a while." And then she sits down, she's like, "No, seriously." She's like, "Let me see your wristband thing." And she's like comparing it, and she's like, "And when's your birthday?" And makes me repeat my birthday and all of the information. She's like, "Hey, just have to make sure." She's like, "You definitely don't look like she's like, and just, this is a compliment. You should definitely take this as a compliment." Like, oh yeah, sure, awesome. Like, again, always take it as a compliment. If and when I never get ID'd for anything, I'm just like, really? I always get ID'd. Um and do I get down to this layer? Here we go. I was like, oh yeah, no problem. I was like, yep, just like whatever it might say, that's my age, but I'm still terrified. So still can feel free to think of me as a 7-year-old who can't handle needles, because I just before you came in just remembered what blood work entails, and I absolutely can't handle that. So I'll be looking over here and closing my eyes if that's cool with you. And she was like, "Oh yeah, no worries. This is like I completely understand. We get this all the time. Like, yeah, from children." But she's like, "Yep." She's like, "This is gonna be super easy for me." She's like, "It's gonna be super easy." She's like, "It's easier for you, even easier for me." And she's like, "Yeah, oh my god." She's like, "You've got great veins. You got amazing veins. This is gonna be so easy for me." So it's like, I'll be able to get this, first shot. It'll happen, real. Just there won't be any issues. Like, yeah, these veins are great, and just like, oh my god, like, stop even saying the word vein right now. I can't even. Oh my god, now I just feel like my veins might as well be hoses flopping around in the air right now. And I just can't even, I can't. Like, oh my god, I can't. Like, you're about to stab me. Like, for the reasons of health, but I'm about to be stabbed on purpose, and I'm technically asking for it, and the government's paying for it, because, oh, Canada, my Canada, everyone gets a vaccine, and whatever's left over goes to underprivileged countries, because Canada is still the best. Um, so she's like, "Yep, no problem. Like, yeah, like I can see this vein a mile away. This is gonna be so easy." Um, but since you can't handle this, she's like, "Don't worry." She's like, "I'll tell you a story." I'm like, "Perfect." Usually in these situations, somebody either tells me to tell a story and I just start talking until it's done, but you want me to breathe, so and not, frantically increase my blood pressure by talking about stuff like crazy. So she She starts telling me a story. She's like, oh, so I went down to South Carolina or North Carolina somewhere to see some friends. And when I got there, they were like, hey, we got you this present for like your family. It's an elf on the shelf. And I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. And she's like, that's what I was thinking. Like, oh, that's a lot of work. So, you know, and I'm like, oh, this is like, but the ideas some people come up with are amazing. But I mostly just look at it as like, oh, I just want to stop motion that thing, and like that's just even more creepy unless you let the kid in on the deal. And she's like, yeah, exactly. Like this is insane, but I'm gonna do it anyway, or I did it anyway. So she's talking Elf on the Shelf. We basically come around to the oops. The idea that is like, oh, I was like, I was raised in, or what raised, I grew up thinking, you know, again, like, oh, my toys, long before there was a Toy Story movie to tell people. And again, when people were like, oh, could you imagine this? And I just lost my mind. Like, when did you guys all forget your childhood? Isn't this how we all grew up, thinking that our toys were having their own secret life when we weren't looking at them? Like, pretty sure that's what every show taught us. But we all watch TV differently than I did. So I basically told her that, like, oh yeah, I was like, I always thought that. So like, so that's super terrifying to me to have Flash as a kid be told, oh yeah, this thing's watching you all the time. I already had aunts that told me that their Gizmo toy that was sat in the corner of the room, like it is, like if that thing turns around, you're dead. It's going to kill you. Like, what? What? Are you sure it's not just a stuffed animal from the exhibition? No. That thing is imbued with magical powers. It is a real being, and when you look away from it, or if it looks away from you, it will get you. Like, awesome. Great. And I mean, for a long time, terrified of that thing. Also, it was still like an adorable Gizmo doll, but I couldn't see the other side of it, because if I saw its face, it would be the last thing that I'd ever see. That's what I know. That's what I knew. So basically telling her that, like, A, yeah, I was a kid who believed in the life of my toys, and B, now I'm a person who tries to bring my toys to life through stop motion animation and regular style animation. And she was like, wow, that's amazing. So interesting and whatever. And I'm like, yeah, and this and that, and this is what I do. Like, oh, this is amazing and interesting. So and whatever. It was like so quick. So it was like felt a little like ping, and then I'm like, oh my god, like it's happening, but I didn't refuse to open my eyes. Was talking to her, and we're just like, I'm frantically talking, she's calmly talking, and then finally she's like at the doorway, ready to leave, like with her cart and stuff, and she's like, yeah, I'd really like to talk more about this. She's like, this is great, but you know, I was like, oh yeah, of course. This is your job. This is like, you go, just go. Like I will just talk for days and days. That's what I do. Don't worry about me in that department. She's like, no, like, but this is very fascinating. But yeah, no, I don't. I have zero time to hear all of your stories, guy. And I'm in my head like, I haven't printed off new postcards or stickers for this show. And and away she went. So that was, it was both, you know, interesting. Again, built me back up again to just be like, hey, I was like, I haven't felt terrible in the last few minutes. And I got a needle without losing my mind. And now I just have to sit here and wait. So I sat there, and if you follow on Instagram, the every time at MrCurtoons on Instagram, also Twitter and Facebook. I drew a picture of a purple cat because I only had like 2 or 3 markers with me, so I just was doodling in my watercolor sketchbook and did a little cat that's like holding a mug and a phone, and she's saying, "This isn't my phone or my mug, or this isn't my mug or my phone," and that was, I don't know, interesting to me, I guess. Just had no ideas, just sitting there waiting, waiting, waiting for somebody to come into a room and sit down and go, all right, so you're living with leukemia. Let me tell you what leukemia is now, because you haven't looked up exactly what it is. You just have the vague horror in your head of what it mostly might pertain to based on very special episodes of Blossom and or movies, that all start or end with some horrific disease. So eventually, Dr. Blonde comes back in. He sits down. He's like, "All right, like we checked all your stuff, checked all your blood." And he was like, "Your blood is pristine." And I was like, "That's the actual quote, full on quotes. Your blood is pristine, like pristine." And in the moment, I was just like, "Wow, pristine!" And I just pictured something very clean, like just pictured nice bleached clean something or other. But then I realized it was blood, and I'm just like, "Oh God, like who even says that? Are you a vampire?" Oh, this is gross. Even pristine blood is still uh, filthy and gross. But what does that mean? What does that mean? Pristine. He's like, we checked this. Your platelets are fine, or like 100%. Your red blood cells, your white blood cells, your whatever this and that. I'm like, okay, awesome. And why am I bothering to color that white? That is a waste of time. Bing. You're a strange monolith. That's what I know. Going to worship, perhaps to follow. Different color. So he starts listing things like, yep, like spleen, fine. Your kidneys are fine. I'm not even sure if I thought about kidneys at that point. And he was like, yeah. Oh, no, no. He's like, your kidneys are fine. And I was just like, my kidneys? Oh, yeah. You didn't even, neither of us even mentioned kidneys before, but that was on my list. And he was like, and, he said, like, you don't have leukemia. You don't have lymphoma. And it was like, lymphoma? Like, holy snaps. Like, and he just mentioned a bunch of things that I'm just like, just hearing those words are just making the blood drain from my body. My pristine, sparkly, shiny, bleachy blood just going, I don't know, to my feet, I guess, from just like, oh God, what are you saying? Stop saying these words. Thankfully saying, like, but you're awesome. Like, none of these things, like, oh my God. So, like, and I literally said to him, just like, so I should just go like, or no, he's like, so yeah, you can relax, just feel good, feel better, you're fine. I was like, so like I should go fight crime? He's like, yeah, yeah, you should. And I was like, obviously joking around. Um, and yeah, I was like, so what's this? So this, it's just, he's like, yeah, some bruises are just slow. I think, and I'm like, should I eat meat? Like maybe, oh, that was my other thing. I was like, either this or that, or like maybe you're just gonna tell me, hey, you stopped eating meat for a while. Just go eat some meat. Maybe you need a little bit of meat. And I'm like, I'm kind of fine with that. Again, I was like, I still love meat. I just also think it's disgusting at the same time. Ugh. Existing is confusing. So he was like, yeah, no, and so I think the basic takeaway without him saying it was just like, you're not as young as you used to be. So yeah, without a lot of exercise or muscle or toughness, your bruises are gonna take a longer to heal, and or you just retain more bruises. Oh, old man, you're old. Get out of the way. Let somebody else take your place. You be like me, so I'm gonna take your place. You'll sit over on this side, and I'll draw pictures and make comics about you and how you're scared of things and how I'm basically the hero. And I'll be like kicking down doorways saying, "Oh snaps! Guess what? Your kidneys are fine. See it ever, baby." And then I backflip out the doorway. That is the worst comic strip I've ever heard. It's the story that I've told for the past 2 hours, but um, oh, and I did. Looking for an excuse to get a cheeseburger. Got pristine blood, well, why not murder a cow? And fry it up as fast as you can so I can have it now under those golden arches of power and salty goodness. So I fully got a cheeseburger and fries on the way home. I didn't get pop or even juice. I'm like, no, I'm gonna go home and still drink my real juice. I haven't really had pop in 1,000 years, whatever, 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm just like, yep, I'm gonna get it. And I honestly, without even too much exaggeration, by the end of the weekend, like within hours, I'm just like, maybe it wasn't the hamburger because I was already like half the bruises in just waiting there. I'm just like, yep, these bruises are almost gone. But better to know than to not. Or to just live in fear. To just get stuff checked out. But it definitely took me quite a few hours to feel like I didn't waste everyone's time. Just like, I needed it. Sorry. If anything, like maybe you weren't treating me in my medical problems, but excuse me, this is still part of my body, and I need that to be sane. Phase 5. Simulation, follow me now. Phase 5. Phase 5. He's a sim, maybe he's real, or maybe she or they. That's how I feel. And yeah, I mean, if anything, if I have a really good day or a really bad day, I still gotta go get some of those sweet and salty McFries. Like even now, it's definitely too late to get in the car and drive to the other end of town to get some McDonald's. And I did eat right before the stream, so it's unnecessary. But just talking about it is, oh wow, I would love that. But weirdly enough, the next day, sitting there thinking like, oh my god, like it does feel so good to eat meat again while I was eating some French fries and these chicken balls that I made. I didn't make that I cooked, that were frozen, and then thinking about like, oh, like now I'm just eating all this. I was like, oh yeah, no, these are just a different kind of plant-based chicken ball thing. There's no meat in this, but they were amazing. So I'm like, oh, I got to get more of these because I really, really feel like I'm eating some just definitely super unhealthy chicken balls. Well, these are made with plant stuffs, so win-win, win-win. Feels like junk food, tastes like junk food. Definitely feels like I'm eating just balls of dead chickens. Not their balls. They don't even have that. Just balled meat, like a melon baller, or when they grind up the chickens, press them into little balls or nugget shapes for our consumption. So at least I've passed that point of no return where it is just like, oh, I don't even really think about how real chicken is so much better than this stuff because it's just like, oh, this one was just amazing and delicious. But yeah, sadly or happily, McDonald's is still the best pick me up and bring you down because it very quickly is just like, oh god, so much salt. I need a nap. I think I just stopped all of my blood from moving through my body. But man, oh man, just good stuff. This time, I will actually add text to this tomorrow. That's the weird thing too, because it is just like, if I don't call it chicken balls, it is just like, well, what is this? Like, they're just like, delicious balls, little nugget bites, little balls of freedom, and or justice. But yeah, it's the end of the night. Oh, okay. I was gonna say I should have stopped 5 minutes ago, but it's still not quite 11 yet. But I should have stopped 25 minutes ago. But yeah, that's another strip, doodled up at least, or cleaned. I'll add some text that is nice and sacrilegious and still funny, and that will be on the Instagram later on tomorrow at some point, depending on how quickly and how efficiently I can put Christmas hats and snowflakes into people's artwork, that I can, you know, take a little break to add text to this while I eat my lunch. But yeah, other than that, I feel like there was something at the end of that story. Yeah, then I just spent the rest of the weekend trying to relax, walking around, just trying to get just some medium exercise that, you know, my old body can handle, I guess. But yeah, all the bruises pretty much went away, and I stopped being terrified. And then I thought the hallways were full of anthrax. That's what led me to that, where I'm just like, ah! And I have 5 minutes where somebody's just not doing something crazy. But that was my adventure of the week. Seem to have one every week, whether I want to or not. Don't even have to leave the house or the apartment building. There was a deer that looked like it was stuck under the fence. But then as I got a closer look, it just has a weird short body, and it was just tucked in next to the fence. And I'm like, do I have to call somebody to get this deer out from under the fence? Either way, feeling much better about everything, and yeah, I still got to go do some Christmas stuff. So next week I will still have some terror stories of taking a run to Canadian Tire or wherever I end up going. Oh man, Ripley. Meow 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 meow. Exactly. Credits are ready to go. Thanks everyone who follows, subscribes, hangs out, cooperates with the Textomotron in the corner there. And yeah, that's our adventures for this week. Hey bro, happy holidays. If I don't see you later, Ted, we'll be back next Tuesday. Plenty of time for more holiday stuff, and maybe I'll add something else holiday-ish to this guy. So anyway, can I take it out with a thong? No, I'm gonna take it out with a thong. So in the meadow we can build some snowmen and pretend that they're circus clowns. We'll have some fun with those snowmen, so all the other clouds knock them down. Then there's that guy Parson Brown. He's all like, hey, why don't you get married? While you look for the credits button. Hey, good night, everybody. Don't forget to party, but not with other people. Keep it down to just two people in your bubble. La, la, la.